Okay, I think we're live. All right, this is the final day of the week at Word with George. Hi, everybody. I'm going to ramble on a little bit just to give people a chance to tune in. Just want to thank everybody so much for tuning in to this little, I guess we could call this a program now, right? This is a little bit of a program. If you've been watching since the beginning, thank you so much. Oh, I want to mention this up front. We're going to be, stay tuned to the end of this broadcast. There's going to be a lot of information about scheduling and about the show going forward at the end. And I'm going to be moving all these episodes that we've been recording here at Word to my YouTube channel. And what I'm going to ask, turns out we didn't successfully tape the first 2 episodes. So Apollo, the first one, Apollo and Asclepios, and the second one, Hermes and Pan, those are currently lost into the ether unless somebody out there, for whatever reason, happened to be recording that at home. If you did record that at home, I would love it if you could write to me at georgeoconnorbooks@gmail.com. If you could get that to me somehow, I'll make it worth your while. And then I could put that up and we could keep an archive of this. But we'll be doing more going forward. Like I said, I'm going to be talking about that as we go. So everybody, I think we've given enough chance. Thank you so much for joining me for this special Saturday morning edition of whatever we're calling this. I guess I started calling it George's Week at Word. I'm doing this in support of Word Bookstores. Word Bookstores is this is their email. Let's cover that part. WordBookstores.com. They're a couple of independent bookstores in Brooklyn where I live, also in Jersey City. They're terrific. And like a lot of businesses right now, they're hurting because of the strange times we're in. So I'm doing this. Thank you so much, Word, for hosting us here on your Instagram feed. And just thank you so much for everything you've done. I'll talk more about them later. So, hi everybody. Let's see. As has become the practice, after I do my little talk about the gods each day, I throw out a drawing challenge, maybe writing a paean, which we've all learned a paean is an ode, and we've all learned an ode is a poem that is in celebration of somebody, particularly a god or goddess. I've been sharing some of the odes and paeans and drawings I've gotten from you, the listeners, and I don't see why today should be any different. So let's call up my my trusty iPad, and let's take a look at some of these things we've gotten here. Wanted to start off with one that we actually received the other day, and I had forgotten to show. Look at this amazing drawing of Lil Hermes. If you don't know Lil Hermes is version of Hermes. I've actually done Lil versions of all the Olympians. They haven't appeared in too many books yet. There's a sticker set that's on my website that you can get them in. Lil Hermes has made a bunch of appearances. I did a bunch of illustrated versions of Aesop's Fables for a graphic novel collection of fables called Fable Comics. He makes appearances in there. He did a free comic book day appearance. It's great, but look, you don't need to see my mail. Look at this amazing drawing of Lil Hermes. Look how cute that is. What a great drawing. Wanted to share that one right up front, right up first. Let's see what else we have. Okay. Now there's one character, and by character I mean person, who's become a little bit of a superstar for writing this. I think you'll begin to recognize the art style of Shiloh. If you don't know Shiloh not only does these amazing drawings, this is Shiloh's drawing of Medusa, as if I needed to tell you, because that's clearly Medusa. Look at the snaky hair and the snaky eyes. Shiloh always records a little video where he sings his paean to the god or goddess, or in this case, a cursed mortal who is now a horrible snake monster. Let's see what Shiloh did today. Already.
Medusa, Medusa, she turns you to stone. Medusa, she turns you to stone. Medusa, Medusa, she turns you to stone. Every day we look at her.
Shiloh. Okay, detail here, because Shiloh is clearly a young gentleman who knows his mythology. Look closely in his hand. He's holding a Pegasus. Those of you who are more Greek myth literate, you can explain to your parents, oh, that's because Pegasus is the child of Medusa. Yeah. After Perseus lopped off her head, it's pretty gross, a winged horse crawls out of her body, but it's her baby. So yeah, he's holding her baby. This is just, man, this is like, Shiloh is the gift that keeps on giving. All right, let's see what else we got here. Okay. We have a couple of really nice drawings here. First, a beautiful drawing of Aphrodite. Check it out. Eyes the color of the sea. And her beau, her paramour, Ares, the bloodthirsty god of war. Eyes the color of blood. And those drawings come to us... Oh, I just accidentally erased an email. Oh, that's sad. So whoever that was, I apologize. Those drawings came to us from Nora. And then Nora and her brother Drake also wrote a couple of paeans, which I will share for you now in my inimitable dramatic reading style. This first one is a paean to Apollo, very appropriate, Apollo. This is from a few days ago, I guess, from Drake. Apollo, you are strong, and you have an arrow. You are also orange. Apollo, you heal people for us too. I like it. Apollo is my favorite orange person. And then, to Aphrodite, from Nora. Aphrodite, now you are beautiful, but you don't have to give a prince a woman who is already married just for a golden apple. That's good advice. I mean, we could have avoided the entire Trojan War if only we had kept in this. And then Ares was the subject of another paean from Nora. She goes, I like you, though some people may not. I know you are strong, but not very smart, but I still like you. You know, I feel like Ares is a god who really needs that sort of affirmation. So thank you so much, Nora, and thank you so much, Drake. Let's see. Oh, okay, we have a whole bunch here. These are from Eleanor. She is 5 years old. And first we have her drawing of, this is Artemis. She's in her woodland setting. There is Aphrodite. I actually might have that reversed now that I'm looking at it. But this is unquestionably Hestia. Look at this drawing. I love this. Look at her eyes. There is such an energy to this. This is like such a great drawing of a goddess who's wreathed in flames. I love this. So, Eleanor, way to go. Excellent job. Don't think she had any paeans. And unfortunately, there was the one I erased, but we have... Oh, okay. These are from Anna. We have seen Anna's artwork before. She is an amazingly talented artist. Expect to see big things from Anna. Here is her depiction of Aphrodite. Remember yesterday how I said Aphrodite is made of nothing but love and bubbles? She really kind of took that to heart because you could see the bubbles just kind of... I don't know if that's that she's made of the bubbles or she just has bubbles in her hair. Maybe she washed her hair and needs to rinse better. And then we also have... This is pretty cool. This is like a work in progress. There's a pretty awesome drawing of Ares. It's a similar pose to what I drew yesterday, but with a lot more of the face visible. And then at the bottom, we could see some of the pencil work that went into Anna's stuff too. So these are really just, these are amazing. These are great drawings, everybody. And I think I maybe just got one more in at the last moment. Oh, okay, good. This one is from... This is also from an Eleanor. Eleanor is evidently a very popular name. So here is, this is just a paean. There's no drawing. It's Artemis. She is swift, flexible as the wind. She can outrun men and capture or hunt any animal. Sincerely, Eleanor, age 8. And then she writes, Ode. It's an ode. That's pretty great. I mean, I hope she's not... I mean, she's can outrun any men and capture, hunt any animal. Hopefully she's not capturing any men that way, because that would be pretty uncool. All right, so I think that takes us through that. Again, if If you have a drawing that I accidentally just erased because I'm adult, or if you have any drawings that I didn't get to say, please keep sending these because, as I said, stay tuned to the end. There's going to be information about how this is going to be continuing. Today is Saturday, and you may or may not know this. Today is the day of a god who a lot of times we don't think of as a god because he's certainly not an Olympian. He's from the generation before the Olympians. Saturday is the day of Kronos the Titan. Now, Kronos, his Roman name is Saturn, like the planet Saturn. Saturn's day. This is the day that was named after him. And so I thought it was really appropriate. I wish I had called it up. I actually got a really cute video. So right now we're in these really weird times because of the coronavirus. And this one woman shared with me a really cute video of her daughter who's been calling it the Chronos Virus. And so I'm like, well, okay, there's not a direct correlation between those two. That's kind of a false etymology there. But yeah, let's talk about Kronos because, the name sounds similar. And it is Saturday. This is his day. And I feel like it's just time to, let's talk about these Titans. Now, probably should admit this. I love the Titans. The Titans are very interesting characters in myth. So for those of you who don't know, let me just fill you in really briefly, right? The Olympians, we all know the Olympians. They're the group of the gods. They ruled the universe. They were who the Greeks believed in. They lived on top of Mount Olympus. They don't create the universe, and they're not the first group of gods. The Greeks believed there was another generation of deities before them called the Titans. And the Titans, there's a lot of theories about the Titans, but basically the one that I settled on with my books, and the one that to me seems to have the most backing for it, the Titans are like the gods of time. Now, just to get super technical, I don't think people really ever worshipped the Titans before the Olympians. I think that was something that they kind of created after the fact, although I do think that there was some worship for the guy we're talking about mainly today, Kronos. He was definitely actually there was temples to him. There was days named after him. Now, if they're the gods of time, let's see if I can name the Titans off the top of my head. There's Kronos, there's Iapetus, there's Hyperion, there's Krios, there's Oceanus. Oh, I'm forgetting somebody. Darn it. But each of them represented a different aspect of time. This one with the gold horns. What's the guy with the gold horns? I should look. Hold on. I'm just going to cheat and look at my own book, Zeus. So people always write to me are you going to do books about the Titans? There's Polos. I forgot Polos. Of course, he's the guy at the North Pole. Polo, get it? You know how that came around? They each represented different aspects of time. For instance, Krios, he had the goat horns. He represented, the way that people could tell times via the constellations in the sky, right? Hyperion, he's related to the sun. He was time related to the sun. He was the god of the east where the sun raised. There's all these different ways. There was the reckoning of time. Kronos represented the part of time, the idea that time was all devouring. Now, what do I mean by that? Hopefully you don't have a watch that eats things around your house, because if you do, that's a haunted watch. Get rid of that watch. It's not a good watch. But what I mean by all devouring is if you look at something on a long enough time scale, and when we're talking about Olympians who live forever, you really should look at stuff on a long time scale because they're going to be around forever. Things disappear in time, whether they mean to or not. Do you know what erosion is? Erosion is the idea you have a giant rock, a mountain, and as weather and heat and things beat on this year after year and year, it gets smaller and smaller, it gets eaten away. And that's kind of what Kronos represents. He represents that no matter how big, no matter how mighty, no matter what you are, everything disappears in time. Kronos is the all-devouring. So in my little promos for this, I talked about how today I was going to be drawing a very hungry god. And I know some people are like, is he really a god? He's a Titan? Yeah, Titans are gods, just like Olympians are gods. There's a different type of gods. When I designed my version of Kronos, well, I'm going to have some fun with this drawing, I think. Something I decided early on. Kronos, of course, was famously overthrown by his son Zeus with the help of the other Olympians. But Kronos himself had overthrown his father, who was Uranos, the sky. I always say Uranos the sky because Uranos literally means the sky. In my books, Uranos doesn't look like a person. He is just a star field. So whenever I draw Kronos' eyes, I actually make them look like they're black and full of stars. And when you see inside Kronos' mouth, it's the same way. Kronos is, I'm going to use some sophisticated terms here. He's humanoid without looking human, right? Because the Titans were... So the Olympians, we've talked about this before. The Olympians don't really look like people, but they take on human forms, although they're bigger and they're super gorgeous, right? The Titans are even further removed. The Titans, their name Titan is synonymous with enormous. They're so huge, right? So the Titans are even further removed from humanity. Not only are they taller than mountains, not only are they so tall that their hair is clouds because their heads literally scrape the surface of the sky, right? Their forms are weird and remote. Something I did when I designed them is I wanted these different characters, the different generations, to be representative of different types of art we see in the Greek world. The Olympians, with their perfect proportions and their great bodies and everything, they're meant to be representative of like sculptures that we see in the Hellenic period of Greek, where everyone is perfectly, impeccably chiseled and looks perfect, right? The Titans, my point of departure for them, they were a little bit like what you would see on the side of a Greek vase painting, which is an older type of art. And even their color, they actually have this deep, like brown, like clay-like color to show that they're like the clay art, like the art on the side of these vases. Now, all that's just getting off the side point. I've only drawn a couple of starry eyes. Let's give this dude a nose. He doesn't look happy, because Kronos is probably not a very happy god. His personality is a lot more remote and distant. He's not a nice guy. I'm going to draw him with his mouth. Now, this is where it's going to be fun. Remember I said it's going to get silly? I'm going to give him a truly enormous mouth. If you're drawing along with me at home, you don't have to draw the mouth that big. That's kind of crazy. But you can draw this mouth as big as you want. I like to draw... Let's give him his ears. He does have ears. I make a little bit of clouds coming off him. If you look at the way I draw the Titans in the book, like, they don't have hair as much as they have clouds that hang to them, these wispy forms, giving the hint of this stuff. And then, let's give him some teeth. He should have some teeth, right? His teeth are quite nice. He doesn't even go to a dentist. And then, I don't know. What's a good thing to have falling into the mouth? Everything dissolves in time before Kronos, right? So I think I'll draw... Let's put an elephant. And let's put one of the pyramids. And let's put a little... Oh, we're going to put a little baby. We'll put a little baby god. And that little baby god, let's just say it's Hestia, because she's the first one. She's like, oh no, why am I being eaten by my dad? And that'll be a good segue to what we talk about next. Yeah, he's awful. If I had time, I'd color all this in black too. Then we just draw his hair. Clouds all over the place. Kronos, not my best drawing I've done, but he's so big, you can't possibly contain him just on one piece of paper, right? So, let's pretend this is an elephant. Let's pretend it's a woolly mammoth. Extinction, things disappear before time. The pyramids are very old, but every year they're a little bit smaller. And one day in the far, far future, there won't be pyramids anymore. And the reason I put in that is because I talked about how he's a very hungry god, and he does represent, as I said, that all-devouring aspect of time, right? Kronos ate his kids. Yeah, which is uncool, right? I mean, I know we've all been cooped up with our family for a while now. Maybe we're having some weird thoughts. If you're thinking of eating your family, just go out, just go outside, get some help. But you don't want to be eating your family. The reason why Kronos ate his family... Well, his kids, he didn't eat his wife. Kronos overthrew his dad, Uranos, the sky, right? And then he assumed control of the entire universe. And he's like, yes, now I'm in charge. But he knew what happened to his dad. He's like, I don't want that to be repeated. So whenever his wife Rhea gave birth to a child, he would take that child, starting with Hestia, there's baby Hestia, and he'd swallow them whole. He doesn't chew them up, he just swallows them whole. And as I depict it in my books, it's not like they're hanging out in his belly, right? Think of him like almost like he's a portal to another dimension. There's this huge starry void inside of him, and all these things just go inside there. And the gods, who everything disappears in time before the time, the gods are immortal. So they have this weird relationship with time. Like, even though time passes for them as slowly as it does for everybody else, like, they never wear down in time. They are immortal. So they live inside of him. And he swallows all his other children as they're born. Hades, Demeter, Poseidon, Hera. And then baby Zeus, who we're going to talk about next. So, we've been dancing around this topic a lot. We mention this guy every day. Oftentimes I don't have very kind things to say about him. I'm like, oh, Zeus, he's just a real creep. I'm going to come out and say something that's a little bit controversial in light of all this. I like Zeus. I think Zeus is pretty cool. Zeus does a lot of terrible things. I'm not going to say here and say that Zeus is a great husband, because he's definitely not. I'm not going to say Zeus is a great father, because he's really not a great father. The thing is, Zeus, as awful as he is, I think Zeus could be a lot worse. Zeus was the king of the gods. He was the king of the Olympian gods. His big job was just to establish order. And what I like about Zeus as a supreme deity is Zeus, he doesn't, how do we say it? He doesn't like micromanage, right? He's just kind of like, his rules are like, all right, you know what? Please don't murder each other. Don't do these big things. Everything else, just like, just be cool. He's pretty chill about that. He's maybe a little bit too hands-off, and he's maybe more interested in just being happy for himself. But I've said this elsewhere, and I think it bears repeating. I think Zeus is a pretty accurate depiction of, like, what an average person would be like if they suddenly became an all-powerful god. I'm mostly a good person, but I still do bad things. I'm sure you're all mostly good people, and you still do bad things. That's how I view Zeus. He's mostly good, but because even though he's an all-powerful god, he has all the failings of a human, so he does bad things. The problem is, he can lift up mountains and change shape and do anything he wants. When he does bad things, they seem bigger. When he does good things, though, they seem bigger too. So let's draw Zeus really quickly. Zeus is the king of the gods, as I mentioned. He is also, he's the god of the sky. We tend to think of him as the god of thunder and lightning, which he definitely is, but that's all part of the sky. He was the god of the bright day sky too. Like today in New York, where I'm from, this is all natural light. It's beautiful outside. It's beautiful. This is a Zeus day. So when I draw Zeus, I'll start with his hair. His hair is like a fluffy white cloud. Just a beautiful cloud alone in the sky. Here's his eyes. I give him kind of a sly look. Like I said, he's not a bad guy, not a great guy, but he does spend a lot of his time looking out for himself. He probably looks out for himself more than anybody else. So he's got there's a little bit of an intensity to his look. It's almost, it's a little, you look at it, it's like a little bit like a wolf in sheep's clothing, right? So, I don't know what to say about that, but he's got a really nice nose. Zeus cares a lot about how he looks to other people, so he takes it any form he wants. He tends to be very good looking. There's his nose. He's smiling because as a god, he is the king of the gods. He is the boss of everything. He literally has no one to tell me anything. He loves his job. He's got the best job in the world. So he's almost always smiling. Dude has awesome cheekbones. Although his brother maybe has better, Poseidon normally draws better cheekbones. Let's draw the rest of his fluffy hair. Zeus wears a beard, also a white beard. Now this is a cool little thing I've hid in my design of Zeus. That's a hint about him. Now if this was a color, well, that's not a good chin line. Let me finish that up. If this was in color, he would have the white hair as I mentioned. His eyes would be blue, the exact same color of the sky. And you can check, if you look in Olympians, his eyes are always the color of the sky, the exact same color. His mustache is a little lightning bolt, because he is the god of lightning. So this is my version of Zeus. And the reason, I'm just segueing from Kronos to Zeus, because Kronos, the hungry god, the god before the gods that we know as the Olympians, he would eat all his kids. And then when it came to his last kid, the youngest, baby Zeus, he ate this one kid that was actually, as it turns out, a rock. His mom pulled a fast one on Kronos. She was tired. She's like, I'm tired of you eating our kids. It's a fight we've all heard a million times in our house. Honey, stop eating the kids. So she gave him a rock, and because he doesn't chew his kids, he didn't notice, because he probably would have noticed they were crunchier than usual. But so then he swallows this baby that's just really a rock, and Zeus was raised in secret in a cave. And Zeus grows up not in his dad's belly like his brothers and sisters, but in our world, although he still has to hide because he's still got his dad out there who's just looking to eat him. And when he comes of age, he goes to his brothers and he goes to his dad and he confronts his dad. He's like, hey, guess what? You missed one. And his father goes to eat him, and when he's swallowed, he throws this special plant into his dad's stomach that makes his dad, barf. And his dad throws up the other gods and goddesses, and they're all spewed all over creation. I believe Shiloh gave us a good song about that. How Hestia was the first one eaten, and the last one vomited. Or I think, did he say thrown up? Vomited. That's a good word, vomit. That's a fun word, right? It's Latin. Anyway, so they all come throwing up, blah, blah, and then that's how the Olympians. Not too many pantheons can claim that their principal characters were eaten and thrown up, but that's one of the things that makes Greek mythology so awesome. Like, our gods come from vomit. So, yeah. So, there's a lot more to say about Zeus. Zeus is, after all, he is the main character of my series, whether you like it or not. Zeus is the central figure of Greek mythology. You can look at my family tree that's in each book. They all kind of attach to him. Even poor Aphrodite, who just marries into the family, she's got a lot of attachments to Zeus. So I have a lot more to say about Zeus, and I'll undoubtedly be covering a lot more about Zeus in future installments of this. So again, I'll take some Q&A. Then I'm going to inform you all about the new format going forward and the new schedule. So who has some questions while I take a drink of water? No questions yet? So no questions today. So maybe we'll actually skip the questions and I'll just talk about what the new format is going forward. So, this was an unusual day. It was Saturday. Wasn't the day that we were planning on doing this originally, right? Sunday, there's nothing really going to be happening. At least on my end. But this is what I'm hoping you guys will do. As has been the case before, I would hope that you would draw some pictures of Zeus, some pictures of Kronos, maybe the things that Kronos is eating. Please send them to me. I'm going to ask you actually send them to a new email address. I'm going to ask you send them to georgeoconnorbooks@gmail.com. I'll hold this up there. Maybe you can even screen save that. But I'll also be making posts on my Instagram, georgeoconnorbooks@gmail.com. If there's any send some drawings there. Maybe also as a challenge for Sunday, because I know you guys can draw these things really quick. We talked the other day about the idea of who would be a new god that you were to design. And I thought about that. It was really cool. I'm going to post up on my Instagram like a little cheat sheet for creating your own god. And maybe like spend some time creating your own god and send that to me too. Also at georgeoconnorbooks@gmail.com. Now, there's been a little bit of a lag and apparently 11 zillion questions have come in. So now I'm going to dip into question and answer time. So, first question.
I heard that Hera was the god of childbirth. Isn't Artemis the god of childbirth?
So here's the question. I've heard that Hera is the goddess of childbirth, and isn't Artemis actually the goddess of childbirth? Turns out there's actually, I could think of off the top of my head, 3 goddesses of childbirth. And if that seems like a lot, remember, there's 2 gods of war, and I think giving birth to children is more important than war, right? So there is Hera, who is the goddess of childbirth. There is a separate goddess who is sometimes identified as a child of Zeus and Hera. She's not really personified in myth, named Eileithyia. And in fact, the reason she's not personified in myth is she may actually be Hera herself. Because remember how we talked about how gods have cult titles? They have different names, like Pallas Athena or Phoebus Apollo. One of Hera's is Hera Eileithyia. So that might just be the aspect of Hera. But then, yeah, Artemis is also a goddess of childbirth. And what I think it is, it's like I think that childbirth is such an important thing. We literally wouldn't be here, any of us, even animals, anything, if it weren't for the fact that things were being born. So I think there's a lot of room in there for different goddesses to cover this. And if I had to use my analysis, Hera is the goddess that grants you an easy childbirth. Eileithyia was the grace sent upon you. And I think that Artemis is maybe more the goddess that protects the health of your child. I know that's really fine lines, but I think that's actually kind of a way it was divided up. So.
Why did the Cyclopes give Zeus lightning bolts?
The question is, why did the Cyclopes, or the Cyclopes, that's how I say numerous, give Zeus lightning bolts? So, in my book, Zeus, when Zeus is born, he does not have the power, and this isn't just my book, this is true. Zeus doesn't have the power to have lightning powers from birth, because the last thing you want a super strong, shape-changing baby to do is to shoot lightning bolts, because you'll never be able to change his diaper. It'd just be a horror show, right? So, when Zeus becomes of age, he makes a journey to the underworld. When Kronos the Titan took command and overthrew his father, Uranos, he also imprisoned some of his siblings underground because he thought they were gross looking. They were the Hecatoncheires, who had 50 heads and 100 arms, and the Cyclopes, who were giant and had just one eye in the middle of their head. I mean, whatever your type is, wasn't his, I guess. When Zeus made a trek underground, the Cyclopes gave him lightning. Now, in some versions of the story, it sounds almost like, because they were smith gods too, in a weird way. Like, you see that they work in Hephaestus' shops. In some versions of the story, they make it sound like maybe like they actually made him literal lightning bolts. Like, they're like hammering lightning bolts, like, here you go, Zeus, have this. But then that kind of takes the power away from Zeus himself, right? Like, then it's a power he's getting from the Cyclopes, which, interestingly enough, their names are Brontis, Steropes, and Argus, which means thunder, lightning, and thunderbolt. So they actually are these weird storm gods. But so that's what I think it is. They're storm gods of a sort, but the reason is they're holding on to the lightning until Zeus was old enough to handle it, because you just don't want a baby to have lightning powers.
Do you always draw Zeus with a beard?
The question is, do I always draw Zeus with a beard? I mean, when I drew him as a baby a few times, he didn't have a beard. But yeah, I don't know that I've ever drawn him without a beard. Which, some of the drawings, if you take a look at the cover, for instance, when he's a very young god, I draw him like he doesn't have a full beard. He almost has like a little goatee sort of thing. He doesn't have a full beard. And I'm going to head off a question here. Like, his hair is not white because he's old. Zeus takes the white hair on purpose. There's actually a little line I have in this book where when he has just rescued Metis from the clutches of the Titans, and Kronos the Titan is cast into the pit of Tartarus, and he's standing with his brothers looking down the precipice, and you can't read this because it's backwards, so I'll read it to you. Metis goes, "Your hair, it looks nice." And he's like, "Thanks." Because when he gets his powers from the Cyclopes, which we mentioned before, the lightning bolts, when they are actually given the lightning, but they're actually like electrocuting him. They've been storing this lightning like batteries, and they shoot it into him, and he's sitting there like getting shocked. As they shock him, his hair turns from like the light brown we see in the cover, it turns into like white. And that is just, it's like a shock thing. Now, he can change shape. He can make his hair be a 6-foot-tall pink mohawk if he wanted to. That's not his style. He just keeps it white because it's kind of awkward if you look the same age as your kids, and the same age as your grandkids, and the same age as your great-great-great-great-grandkids. He doesn't want to, like, look not good. Zeus always wants to look super hot because he's Zeus, right? But he wants to have an air of dignity, an air of age around him, so he makes his hair white. Doesn't really make him look old. It's like, I point out to, like, in the second Avengers movie, how Quicksilver has white hair. He's still clearly a guy in his 20s, but his hair is white. That's kind of what he's doing. He looks young, but he let his hair go white.
How did the Cyclopes get their lightning?
How did the Cyclopes get their lightning? That's a great question. Okay. I don't know if that's ever been fully addressed. It's actually just said that they were holding on to the lightning for Zeus. So, Zeus, in the start, has the support of Gaia. Gaia is Mother Earth, the planet we live on. She was a goddess in the Greeks' view, right? And she's working with Zeus to overthrow the Titans because Mother Earth views all life as her children. And she's really mad at the Titans, and Kronos in particular, because after they overthrow Uranos, they imprison the Hecatoncheires and the Cyclopes. She wants all her kids to be free. So she helps Zeus overthrow them. And I think she's the most powerful goddess, right? We always forget about her. Like, people are asking about Aphrodite. Gaia is, because we all live on her. She's the earth. She's obviously the most powerful goddess. I think she meant that power to be for Zeus, and she gave it to these Cyclopes, just like how I'd say like a battery. In fact, if you look at the Cyclopes' hands, they kind of look like electric plugs. It's to show that they're storing electricity for him. So I think they're keeping it in them as like a battery that Mother Earth gave them.
Where was Hera born?
This is funny. We got this question the other day, and actually this reminds me, I want to ask a few things. Somebody asked me where Ares was born, and I was like, I think he was born on Mount Olympus, but I'm not sure. Did some research. Turns out there is no story of Ares being connected with any one particular place on Earth being born. I guess it is a Mount Olympus birth. There's something about like one of his oldest temples is outside of Sparta. They're like, maybe. But so with Hera, I think she's another one where there's not really any specific location that's attached to her birth. Some of the gods have very specific things. Thinking of it offhand, though, I think that's kind of almost exclusively second generation Olympians. I think the first generation, because they're all being sired by Kronos and born by Rhea, and it's kind of this time before time concept. I don't think they have any strong associations with any human ideas of place, if that makes sense. So I'm going to say Hera was born somewhere on Earth. If that works.
How long does it take you to write a book, more or less?
Ooh, okay. The question is, how long does it take me to write a book, more or less? Depends on the book. When I'm working on an Olympians book, one of the things I do first is I read every single source story I could find about the goddess or god in question. I read every single ancient myth that's written by a Greek or Roman or whoever else believes in the gods. And then I just start taking a lot of notes. And sometimes the story appears to me a lot quicker than others, and sometimes it's hard. I'm working on, I've mentioned this before, I'm working on the final Olympians book, Dionysus, right now. This one took a little bit longer than some others because it's the last book and has to tie everything together. But I would say on average, it probably takes me about maybe 4 to 6 months to write a book. I'm doing other things at the same time, but about 4 to 6 months is probably my average.
Would you like to tell everybody what you would be the god of?
So the last question, I think that was, we're it for questions today? Okay. Somebody had asked me the other day what I would be the god of, and I think I was kind of stumped. Somebody wrote to me what I thought was a pretty cool idea. Here. We had a comment back from Thursday. This is from Meg, by the way. Megan is writing on... Megan's kids were the ones who did this amazing picture of Aphrodite. They're erasing mail again. And Ares. Meg wrote... We had a comment back from Thursday. I'm using a laptop to access the feed and can't seem to comment live, but there was a question about what you would be the god of. We decided you should be the god of enthusiastic self-deprecation. I.e., you are humble, but still contagiously excited about history, myth, art, etc. And I was like, oh, I love that. Yeah. You know what? Being humble is a really good attitude to strike near the gods. There's something called hubris. Just don't be hubristic around a god. It's going to end badly. So, yeah, that's great. I love that. Because, yeah, nothing gets me more excited than talking about this stuff. I hope what I've been doing has been helpful to all of you. I can tell you 100% it's been really helpful to me. I get very excited about coming in here and talking to you all about this stuff. There's nothing I love more than talking about these things and these little bits. This does make me so excited. This is like the medicine for my soul. So yeah, I really love this. And thank you so much for letting me do this with you. So, I think that wraps up our Q&A for today. So, again, I'm going to repeat my question from the beginning. If anyone by any chance taped the first 2 sessions, please contact me at georgeoconnorbooks.com. Well, georgeoconnorbooks@gmail.com. Now, here's the new schedule going forward. I already gave you your homework. Please draw pictures of Zeus. Draw pictures of Kronos. Check out my Instagram. I'll be posting information about how you could create your own god. Send it to me. I'll be sharing all this stuff because, well, on Monday, at this exact same place, at Word Bookstores, I'm going to be doing a handoff after the week of Word at George. There is going to be a new creator, a new author. One of my oldest friends is going to be taking over. She is the author, Julie Foliano. Where's her book? This is one of her books. Julie, this is backwards, but you can still read it. Julie Foliano, she's here at Twitter. Foliano is spelled with a silent G, Fogliano. She's great. And on Monday at 3, at Word, it's actually going to be Julie and I together. And we kind of came up in the business together, right? We worked at the same bookstore. We started getting into the business at about the same time. And we're going to be having a conversation. We're going to be talking about what it's like to be a creator of books and how we started doing this. Julie's going to be sharing a lot of her writings, and Julie is one of the best writers I know. So I'll be here Monday at 3 o'clock with Julie. I'll be posting stuff all over Instagram. So will Julie. So will Word. You guys will catch it. And I hope to see you guys all there. Then, because no handoff would be complete unless something was actually handed off, Julie's going to be taking over this spot at Word at 3 p.m. Eastern. And you're all like, no, that's the end. It's not the end, because nothing ever ends. That's not true. Everything does, but yeah. On Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern, I'm going to be shifting these talks to my own Instagram, which is Instagram at the George O'Connor. And it's going to be the same format we're doing here pretty much. I'm going to share your drawings. I'm going to have a mini lecture each day about a goddess or a god or a place or a thing. I'm going to expand this out. This has been really fun for me. I hope this has been fun for you. But we're going to, there's going to be a lot more things I can cover. I could probably do something about this every day for the rest of my life and still have things to talk about. So we're going to be doing this at 4 o'clock Eastern Time. Again, this is going to be posted to death everywhere. So hopefully you'll all remember this. But I hope to see as many of you as possible on Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern. In the meantime, I just want to thank Word for being such a great... Oh, yeah, we're also... Write to kids... Man, it wouldn't be a show unless I had something backwards, right? Write to kids at wordbookstores.com because, well, in New York, where we live, where Word is, we've gotten news that a lot of businesses are probably going to be closing, or definitely be closing on Sunday. I'm not sure what that means for Word going forward. And one of the things I really want to do is help Word because Word's a tremendous bookstore. So if you want to order something, go to them now. This is a good time to do it before they might have to close. And if you're interested, there's been some talk, and we're kind of weighing some information about this. I might be offering a workshop through Word. And there might be other workshops similar to this. This would be something a lot more in-depth than what I'm doing here. This would be like me actually working with you to like create comics, things like that. Something of an educational experience, not just me chattering on like endlessly. And there would be a fee for that, unfortunately, but it would all go to help this amazing bookstore, which I'm trying to do all I can to help. If you're interested in this sort of thing, this sounds like something you might be interested in, just drop a line to be like, we're like, yeah, we would love to do that. That'd be awesome. Is there anything else I'm missing? I already mentioned the Sunday activity. Right?
Draw their own garden.
Sunday, just to remind you, Sunday activity, I'm going to post it up on my Instagram, again, the George O'Connor. There's going to be a sheet up there to help you design your own god. This sheet will be just like a little bit of a cheat sheet, right? It'll be like, my god is the god of this, their Roman name is this, their siblings are this, their symbol's this. You don't have to fill out all of them. If you have any questions, you can write to me. It's just something to help you out. I'd love to see pictures, I'd love to see descriptions. Look at the world around you and think, what god, because it's been about 3,500 years since the last god of Olympus. Probably, they have a lot of kids. There's probably a few new ones out there that we don't know about yet. How has the world changed? How could they represent? What would be a good idea for this god or even monster or hero or whatever it is? What would be a good spot for them to do? And you could, I'll post it on the George O'Connor. And you can send it to me at georgeoconnorbooks@gmail.com or just direct message me on Instagram too. That would work too. So that's not going to work, huh? These are the ways to get in touch with me. I want to again thank Word for being an amazing host. If you can do anything to thank Word yourself, please do. And I think that's it. I'll see you all Monday when I pass the torch to Julie Foliano. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Have a great Sunday. Bye-bye.